when we have somebody that we identify with an issue, my officers have an opportunity to refer that person to them, and then we back out of it. And one thing that I didn't say about our outreach team is we've also had the university study our outreach team and how our program works. And we have found that when we look at recidivism rates, or when we look at people that we're constantly dealing with in law enforcement on a daily basis, once we plug them into our outreach program and they start to go to work, we've got a minimum of a 50% reduction in law enforcement contacts. Well, that's what we want. We don't want to be constantly going and making contact with people that are suffering from mental health issues or crises and substance use issues, right? Because a lot of them are struggling with addiction, a lot of them are struggling with stuff that is not criminal at all. And then you put us in there, and a lot of times it has a tendency to kind of boil over and turn into something that it doesn't need to be. So why would we not strive to reduce those contacts as much as we can? And so through the help of this program that we have at West Columbia, we're able to do that. And we've seen it, and we've had it studied by the college, and it showcases that we've done that. And a maximum of 100%. So a lot of the people that we dealt with pre-outreach versus post-outreach, we don't deal with again. So that's a good thing. So their job is to plug those resources in to these individuals that we refer to them, and then they try to find them the resources to help them with whatever root cause, whatever issue that they're dealing with. So on the homelessness issue, and I think, Sophie, you were dealing with one here recently? Without getting into too much individual details, would you mind just kind of taking an overview of how we got that, or how that case came to you, and kind of what we were looking at?
So traditionally, when Aaron and I first started, we were pulling call logs and making an attempt to reach out to people by calling them. But an issue that we were running into was that a lot of these people either don't have a working cell phone, or more commonly, a lot of them have a phone that is only able to be used with Wi-Fi. So in doing that, Aaron and I, we did a little bit of brainstorming. We're like, what can we do to try to bridge this gap and connect with these people in a way that meets them where they are, instead of continuing to call them and leave messages, and we're not hearing back, we're not able to reach out to them. So we created a sort of like not necessarily a crisis line, but just a text line, so we can try and get in contact, send links to resources. And the particular case that she was talking about was very similar. This one was actually referred by one of our officers. So we're also finding that it's incredibly powerful when we get referrals from officers. So officers are going out and they're making the connections first, and they're building rapport with these people without really even knowing that they're building rapport with them. They're seeing them once, twice a week, they're locking them up, and over time, these individuals start to feel a sense of relationship with the officer. And so I was able to kind of tap into that and build a relationship with this particular individual, and just get her in contact with some resources, get her in contact with, we're trying to strengthen our community partnerships. So trying to strengthen our connection with, we had a meeting with Pathways to Healing today. It's sexual assault. They do all kinds of like counseling resources, free resources like that. Just trying to get to those root issues that people are dealing with that has ultimately led to these crises that leads to police intervention. So if we have the opportunity to build relationships at that level, our hope is to plug those resources out so that they're having less crises and they are winding up in situations where they're getting a lawyer and trespassing, or even getting into altercations, or in this particular one, it was a sexual assault that ended that way. So.
And then, Ms. Crystal,
Yes.
share with us, please, your area of expertise in the outreach field that you do. Actually, so my West Columbia outreach are dealing with phone calls and texts. That's primarily how we have contact with the people. We're not face to face. We don't go out in the patrol cars and meet with them. They do it from the phone or on a text-based system. Ms. Crystal, though, you were out in the woods with the folks. So tell us a little bit about where you come from, what you do, your background, and then what kind of services you've been doing here in West Columbia.
Ms. Crystal, I'm going to ask you to stand up. Some of those people have a hard time seeing overhead, so if you will.
Absolutely. supportive housing, which is essentially Prisma, long story, sub-grants, all of that. But essentially what I do street outreach. So my job essentially is to meet my folks where they are. And why do I call them my folks? Because I used to be homeless. So these are my people. When I meet with them, it's more of we have a sense of camaraderie in a sense. So before South Carolina, I was homeless. Sleeping in my car, came here and changed my whole life, got a master's degree, God is good, yes. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you. So essentially what I do is, I go and find my folks wherever they are. They can be in an abandoned house, they can be in the woods, they could be standing outside. And my job is to connect them with resources. So, I brought some pictures, and you can kind of see, I don't know if you guys suspect, what Chief Boy said, this Highway 1, I'm not familiar with the area, with Augusta Road? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I brought some photos, specifically from this area that we did camps in. You guys kind of pass it around if you like. Hold on, let me get it together. So this specific one is behind the Wendy's. And like Chief Boy said, when we first had this conversation, it was kind of a walkway to go back there to find our folks. It's a long camp. It's not just like a boom, you find a camp. No, it goes deep. It's a camp. You go to kind of go into the little cubby, and then to the right is a camp. To the left is a camp. Go back a little further is a bigger camp. And there's one over there by the water in the camp. And I mean, we did meet with people back there, and there were some stuff that was written. You guys kind of pass it around. This is just one of the, but we did meet with people, and we try to connect them with resources, and that's supportive housing services. Have you guys ever heard of the Housing First Model? Mm-hmm. So essentially what that is this is what it says, house first. And on the back end, you work on the mental health, the drug addiction, but we have case workers, wraparound care, social workers, we have psychiatrists, so we work with other community partners, with psychiatrists, to give them that wraparound care, but we house first and try to assist them on the back end. But we do promote self-determination because we can't force people to do anything. So our goal is to be present when they're ready. But in the meantime, they're in the house. And we kind of work with them on food and doctor's appointments, all of the other things. This camp is also in West Columbia. Well, is that camp behind the, Wendy's, is that West Columbia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This camp, I seen, this was over there, off of Highway 1, over there by that car, where I guess you're about to, yes.
And that's part of West Columbia, part Lexington County.
Pass that around. And I took these pictures because to give you a visual cue of what we're entering. I never go into camp by myself. It's usually a group of us, and this is the last time we went. And in this, we take different disciplines in a sense. So we have transitions out there, so we can get them a bed if they're willing. We have Austin Wilkes. We have Eau Claire Health, which if they need health insurance or need some medical attention. I do permanent supportive housing. And we have 180 Place. And these are just all of the, and the Record Shelter Columbia. Of course, we can kind of try to plug them in over there. So we go in as, hey, we're going to give you these right now resources. It's not going to be, hey, you need to go down the street and go talk to, no, we're right here. So what do you need, and let us help you. So we do the on-hands intake. So it's been effective. I literally love it. Have you guys ever heard of the pit count? Oh, it's so important if you haven't heard of it. So a pit count is essentially how we get funded for our homeless population, our services. And so this pit count happens once a year, and HUD decides who gets more money, essentially. So we count for one day out of the week who is unsheltered. And why is it important? Because we need to know where our folks are. So if, hypothetically, say, West Columbia or Lexington count that they only had 20 homeless people on this day, and Richland said they had 1,000, who's going to get more money? Richland. So it's very important for this count, and we only do it for one day out of the week, but we do it for a week. So we always ask, where did you sleep on the 23rd of November? Well, it's January. And if they slept outside, or if they slept in, if they were in a hotel paid for by an agency, slept outside, or if they were in a shelter, that's HUD's definition of homelessness. So anything outside of that is not considered homeless per HUD's definition. So couch surfing doesn't count, unfortunately. But if somebody step outside and we can find our folks, so the count is important because now West Columbia can get more funding from HUD to help the situation essentially. So that's kind of an overview of what I do without going too far into things. I did bring some little resources to maybe, I didn't print them out, of what resources we have in Lexington right now that has funding for some of our folks. Like I say, permanent supportive housing. We house those that are chronically homeless per HUD's definition, which is what I named sleeping outside, paid for by an agency for at least a year, or I'm missing one, or in the shelter for at least a year. So we bring them in, we work with the housing authority to potentially get our folks housed. Now, as all things in systems, we have barriers. It's called a prioritization list. So this prioritization list is so controversial. I won't give my personal opinions on it, but this is the system that we use for our housing first model. So it's pulling from the most vulnerable, the people that we find in the woods, the people that are on drugs, the people that are in and out of jail. We pull them first. And so we house them with that wraparound care. So that's essentially what we do, or we have other services for those that have a diagnosis with HIV. We still work with the housing authority. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Rainy Day Fund. These are just random resources at this point. Just trying to be in the know. I'm here for resources and community partnerships. So I feel like if you know, if you see somebody, you can be able to pass the message along. The Rainy Day Fund has money for offenders that may need that transitional period. Like say they need a hotel from when they get out of jail into housing, or need to pay for something off their criminal background. They have funding for that. Palmetto Place has beds for youth 16 to 20. 180 Place has rapid rehousing money, which means they will pay the first month's rent and deposit, and that's in Lexington County as well. Everything I'm telling you is we can do here. So first month's rent and deposit to a place, and it can last for at least a year. So it's not like, oh, you didn't pay your rent, you gotta go. No, but if you know that you're gonna give somebody their resource, be thinking of what they can do after that year if they're not sustaining the rent. So I mean, I just kind of want to give what I do and also something tangible to take with you. Yes, sir.
Crystal, can you tell me, I have heard that the Lexington Veterans Shelter has closed, or Christ Central, that was under Christ Central, right? Was it, or I think it was?
Are you talking about the women's shelter?
No, the men's shelter.
Midlands Transitional Retreat.
The one
on Duffy Drive.
behind the
Yeah, I'm not.
behind the coroner's office.
Right, on Duffy Drive.
Oh, is it Duffy Drive? Oh, okay. Oh.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Oh, I think there was an article that they are closing, or
Okay.
if they haven't closed already.
Well, I can find out. I'll
Okay.
have to kind of dig into it, talk with some folks and find that out. One thing I will say, I work with several different police departments, and I really want to say Chief Boyce is amazing. I'm not just saying, I guess he's saying anywhere I go, I love his social service aspect in policing. I think it is beautiful. Because I work with Lexington County, I work with the CPD and Metro, everywhere, and I just never seen somebody that passionate with that social component with policing. It is beautiful, and I love it because it helps us to actually go service our folks. And so what we do in some of the areas in the city of Columbia, so like with Captain Wagner, she's the Metro Region captain, which is downtown area. So say she has a camp, she'll call me like, hey, you about to take it down. We need you 3 days to go talk to the folks to get them resources. And so I get a pile of us together and we go out there, so they don't feel like, you booting us away with nothing. So we go down there, like I just told you, we'll do intakes. We get you a bed at transition. What can we do for you? But they're about to tear this down, so we need to figure it out today. So we built that bond with, certain police departments. So it's crucial that we have that connection, in my opinion.
And we've done that here.
Yeah, I have. Yes,
So,
we have.
matter of fact, the several campsites behind the Wendy's, that's
Yep.
exactly what we did, and I said, Ms. Crystal, I'm gonna tell them they got to go in a week.
That's
Got to
exactly
go.
right.
And so she put a team together, I think it was a
That's
picture
what
that you
that
just showed. And she texted me, so she said, we were here, and here's the team that we, so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
good. And they went in there and, provided resources and handed out information and told them we were on the way. And so we went in a week later and put everybody on trespass notice and started cleaning that up. So, when we did our AI software package stuff on that tract of land, we had 0 results, which is good. Now we're working with the business owners of those tracts to see if we can't make sure that there's no camping or inhabiting of those parcels, and that's kind of up to the business owners of that too. We can't do everything in law enforcement, so we're working with them right now to make sure that they're educated on that and well aware of it to try and mitigate some of that repeat offenders.
Do you work with any businesses to give them job opportunities?
So I worked with, recently, I have been in a coalition with the Fatherhood Coalition. Well, on a different aspect though, they have their own thing. But anyways, we just did a job fair and it was for those with records or without records. So, and I'm also, I forgot to tell you, I'm also on the board of MOC. Not sure if you know what that is, it's the Midlands Area Consortium for the Homeless, which is the homeless coalition, and we cover 13 counties from York to Allendale, and it's through the United Way. So that's our specific goal, is to figure out what we can do in all capacities for our unsheltered population. So
I work for a company that owns a lot of restaurants, you know, on Main Street in Columbia. And I go to Life Cafe, I was, 1600 block, and we welcome people from transitions and all the guys. We take them to the restaurants, we start them off as dishwashers and give them a chance, but I was just wondering if they do anything like that in West Columbia.
I mean, specifically, I can't answer to that. Because again, I cover 13 counties. I just know that this is a new relationship because I came in like, hey, I'm seeing that I get pushback when I come to this area. Can you help me get in? And essentially, that's what he did. He gave me the way to get in and meet my folks. So now I have built a rapport. So it's still kind of fresh to say we have implemented anything to that capacity, but I'm not opposed. Because Lexington is a part of the MOC counties. Yes, sir.
Do you have any kind of sense of the percentage of individuals who voluntarily take advantage of these resources?
I don't. Because the social worker that I am, and I literally was just in a meeting recently about this. If I have a person, I don't care how many times they come back to me, my job is to give them the resources. It's not for me to hold it tight or feel like, it was a situation, a woman went to the hospital recently and somebody, as soon as she came in, they called Sister Care, she didn't really get beat, this is what happened, that was not that person's place. You give, that lady said somebody hit her, you give her the resources, let her go through their system. So I don't really count that, I count whatever they need, I'm gonna give them the resource, regardless to how many times they come back.
Y'all have any way to determine if they have any source of income?
We can ask. Essentially we can ask, but usually they may have Social Security, or maybe they're needing assistance to get Social Security.
I know there's people out there, they don't wanna live under a roof.
This is
They
valid.
content to live out there in the woods,
Yes,
and they don't want no help.
this is true.
They don't do is live in the woods.
That's exactly right, and you have to allow people to self-determine. We're here to, whenever you're ready, this is a resource for you. Now, we can't tell you won't get in trouble in other capacities, but I'm telling you right now, if you want a permanent supportive housing, you've been homeless, you have a mental or physical disability, my service will help you. I will be able to work with the housing authority to get you housed, but we can't make them. We just have to hope and be persistent. Go out there all the time. Hey, I'm still here. I didn't forget about you. And so they'll be ready and they'll come. Usually they'll tap in like that.
Essentially, there will always be homeless people somewhere.
Yes.
Crystal, I think for the most part, I understand that the municipalities tend to know the tree well and manage it. But then these people go into the unincorporated areas of the county. What kind of working relationship do you have with the sheriff's department?
So
That's where all the homeless are.
with Lexington, I have a pretty good relationship with Lexington. Just now, which is crazy, because I'm in Richland a lot, I am just now building a relationship with Richland County Sheriff's Department. But Lexington, we're pretty tight. We have the same rapport. I was really close with, what's his name? Oh, he works with, our undocumented people, I can't think of his name right now, Nieves. He was like my #1 source into it. He still has connections, so we still. But I will say, one thing that, Chief Boyce said, and the mayor said to be very true, our folks know where to go. They know that this is county, this is city. It was a camp behind the Lowe's on Garnet's Ferry. They knew that up on the hill was the county, and down on Lowe's was the city. So the city said, don't come here, but they stayed up on the county because the county was a little bit more lenient. And they told us. So they know, they're not, they're very,
Yeah, well, this location here, Aldi's is in the city. This new home development right here is gonna be in the city, and we're in no man's land, and we've got the donuts, I guess you're talking about, donut homes. You've got a lot of those things, that it's hard for municipalities to govern, and it's difficult really for the county as well. So, and these people know that. They know that being a donut, and the city's not involved.
this is true.
In the county, unless somebody calls the county. In the county, when a citizen makes contact with the county, do they call you, or do they just go out and say, listen, y'all gotta leave?
I think would have been the best interest if they were to call us to set, like Chief Boyce said, he let us know, hey. And I think one of the places that Chief Boyce mentioned was that place behind the pottery, what's it called?
Yes, Carolina Pottery.
Yeah, we went there now, again, people have to want the stuff, they did not want anything to do with us. It was one lady that came out and talked to us. But it was a lot of people, nobody else wanted, so we can't, and I tell everybody, so people have to want it. But we can keep showing up to say, hey, we're here, we can't make it, but I would love if everybody would call the resources out first. Cause I mean, that's what we're doing. We're out here every day trying to connect our folks with the resources. Cause when I was homeless, that was my big issue. I did not know what was available to me.
Is a citizen's first step to call law enforcement or to call you?
I mean, I guess it depends on the situation. If
I
it's
mean,
something that you feel like maybe criminal, call law enforcement, then law enforcement can get in touch with us.
90% of them don't commit crimes.
Right.
They're homeless people and they need help.
Right.
So is that the case where you just directly call you and bypass
You
anybody
can,
else?
absolutely. If you're a resident or somebody in the community that just want me to come out, hey, I see some camps over here, I will gather a team and we will come out.
How well is that publicized? Here's the number to call if you know homeless or someone.
Cause I can't say that it's publicized because that's me. And I'm working with people that trust me and willing to work with me. I can't say that you ask another outreach worker, hey, I need you to come out here, would they come? I don't know that. I know I'm willing to come out and get a team together, but I can't talk for all other outreach workers. But if you call me and I'll give you my card and say, hey, I see some folks over here, and give me some time to get over here, at least 2-3 days, I will come out with a team.
Yes, sir, I think the important kind of guiding light on that, as far as whether you call law enforcement or if you call some means of resource deployment, is whether or not you think that the status quo of whatever that situation is appropriate. Because at the end of the day, any resource deployment is going to be offered, but it's not going to be competitive. Because you have to have that element of self-determination. So if you're dealing with a situation that you want to see an immediate change or a short-term change, I'm going to say immediate, I would encourage you to call both law enforcement and whatever resource deployment agency you can reach out to, because they can go offer the assistance, and if it's not utilized, then law enforcement is there to say, okay, well, the status quo is no longer acceptable, and we're going to compel a change in it.
But they work hand in hand, and instead of the left hand calling the police and the right hand calling the social folks, you contact with him and say, I'm going after this area.
And that happens sometimes, but I guess it's very much, it's situational, I would think. You know, everything isn't gonna work
Right.
that way.
I understand.
And sir, I'll tell you, the other thing is, one of the things that we started doing at West Columbia is we have our own GIS program here, or GIS mapping program that the city has, and that's phenomenal. That has been a great resource that the city brought in. What I started doing with that is trying to figure out a framework of how I can track transient populations. And I don't mean track like 24/7, I know exactly where person X is. But if we do an app development for the field, and my guys or gals get out with somebody that you called about and said, there's a campsite here, we might not know that there's a campsite there. We might not have any information about that. Well, now we can get out and kind of very similar, based on your point in time counts, we can take that information, it's de-identified, so it wouldn't be John Smith, but it would be white male, age 34 to 40, or whatnot, and we got out with him, goes by Bill, and he was right here. And then the next time we get out with Bill, he might be over here, where we can start to connect where travel habits of Bill are in the city. Or if somebody goes, what, Chief, what's your homeless population? I have no idea. I have no idea what to tell you right now. I cannot tell you that. I do not know. But that'll give us a better opportunity to try and understand that a little bit more and handle that. And I think that also kind of plays a little bit into what you're asking. We would appreciate knowing whether we can go out and do anything immediate or not. We still refer through outreach. And you heard her say, I gave her the information on Pinecrest Drive. That's not in city limits of West Columbia, but where did 90% of my issues come from right here in West Columbia is that on Pinecrest Drive, especially in this region. She got it. She got the campsites and the wooded areas out towards the flea market. That is not West Columbia. That is Lexington County. So those are the places that I see people coming in and out every day that I drive to and from my house. I see the foot traffic, I see the bicycles, I see the shopping carts, I see it all. I give her that information and say, that's a place where you need to go take a look at. So I would appreciate calls to the police department. We might not be able to solve your problem immediate right then and there, but regardless, it gets pushed to outreach all the time.
There's always value in the information, whether some concrete change occurs from that phone call or not. If it allows us an opportunity to log information and to better identify that picture of homelessness, it helps us to go out and address the things that we can, but it also helps us to provide the information to those resource deployment agencies.
And what we use for homeless services, we have a database called HMIS, and it's within the whole 13 counties. If you are a provider, we kind of encourage you to use this database. And so we can kind of track to see where our folks have been. So if I can look and see, okay, Timmy Lou was at Transition, he left Transitions, went to Oliver Gospel. Next thing you know, I read where somebody put a note, he was staying in X Woods. But you know, it's to kind of keep track of this person and on a different level. However, law enforcement doesn't have access to that. It's almost written they cannot, because it's not there for that purpose. It's for us to be able to know where our folks are. So like there's several different databases to understand where our folks are and kind of knowing, are they in the woods? Are they in West Columbia? Are they here? So there's different ways, you know, putting it together without breaching the contract is kind of how we kind of figure out where we need to be. So, yes.
Question, and I'll just preface this by saying that I live in Red Bank. I run a business in Red Bank. I'm now running a business around the corner here in West Columbia, the Habitat Restore. And about a decade or so ago, I was working with the homeless in downtown Columbia. The one thing I don't see in Lexington County, and this may be more a question for Tim, is there's not a transitions-like facility in the county.
We have
I know you refer
traditionally,
it to them, but is there any thought about having those resources here that they can come to, so you don't have to go out to the camps and find them all the time?
we have traditionally funded, as part of our budgetary process, a contribution to transitions every year. The thought on that being that there was so much more resources, so much more centralization of resources around transitions that you've got.
They do good work, I agree.
Yeah, you have homelessness, but then you have all the other associated things that drive folks back into homelessness, right? And if you simply put them in a shelter, you don't address those other things, it doesn't really fix the problem. So we've always utilized the model over here to contribute towards transitions, to get those folks who are willing to go downtown in the close proximity of as many resources can be drawn out of as possible. Columbia is doing a comprehensive review of their homeless situation and their service delivery, and that picture very well may be changing in the near future. And that's the reason why we haven't gone to a model where we have our own system over here.
And I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I know we said end at 7 and we're 3 minutes past that. Maybe time for one more question and then we'll, if anybody.
Well, it was really good talking with you guys. Thank you for having me.
So, before everybody leaves, are there any more questions for him? Because, this doesn't happen, this is our first meeting. We wanted to get some information out, we wanted to get as much information as we could. So, I think Mike got up earlier and said if you have a question, certainly we want you to submit that question, whether you want to ask publicly or not. You can put it on a piece of paper and give it to us, and we'll kind of channel it wherever it needs to go. But certainly, I would offer to the group that the Roots Inn Club would be glad to host something else if you want to do something different along the same lines, or same line but different. But I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Anybody want to, Reverend David?
I got one question. Is there anything going on as far as Thanksgiving that is available coming up this week?
On this side of the river?
Yeah.
Are you talking about as far as resources go?
Yeah, like a Thanksgiving meal or anything, someplace.
Yes.
How many food boxes did we put together?
We did 125 with the Church of Christ and delivered those Saturday. Brooklyn Baptist Church just did 250 boxes. That's where I came from tonight. Serve and Connect is doing Bountiful Harvest tomorrow at the Ice House Amphitheater, and there's no prerequisites. It's not like you can't make this much money or anything like that. It's free for anybody. And they're doing that tomorrow from 12 to 4. I think there's 250 boxes there as well. And as far as Richland County, I can't speak on their behalf, but I know they're doing similar projects as well.
Mike, I think y'all just opened up a food bank at Grace.
Right.
On Black Springs Road.
On Fridays.
There are several food banks and programs for food distribution in our community, and if you're ever looking for a good thing to contribute to, it's always someone in need, regardless of the time of the year, for food.
But I think, Preacher's talking about this Thanksgiving, is there a place that the homeless would go eat the Thanksgiving meal? Anybody know of one?
Don't quote me, but I'm not sure about specifically Lexington County. So I do know about.
Maybe it's something we should start, Ross.
Yeah.
St. Peter's has that, in Columbia, downtown.
And I believe Christ Central may be doing something too, right across from Transitions.
Well, I'll just throw this out there because this thought was on my mind. My wife said, "Oh no, don't say that." But we always have so much leftovers at Thanksgiving. I was just wondering, if a place like the Rurtan Club here could offer a location, like on Friday after Thanksgiving, people could bring their leftovers from Thanksgiving and serve whoever we can serve in the area. But that's just a random thought from a pastor that rarely has good ideas.
I know that Serve and Connect is doing some stuff. I would encourage you to reach out to them. I have a connect I can give to you. Her name's Erica, and I know that they're doing some feedings on Thanksgiving. So if that's something you want to do, I will definitely give you her contact information.
If you're talking about, giving food out, I'd contact the restaurants like Grecian Gardens, Lizard's Thicket, etc., because they're always going to have some extra, and then they may donate some just for the cause. And then you'll know that you have fresh food done by a restaurant ready to serve. All you'd need would be volunteers in the central place. Just a thought.
Yeah.
It's more to it than just saying that.
Yeah. I think that would be a good idea, and I mean, I'm totally down for anything. I don't think doing it by this week would be ideal.
Oh.
Like moving forward, trying to put something something together.
Probably, I mean, Christmas may even be too soon to plan and organize that, but then you have the people coming, and then you could talk to them, hey, what else do you need?
That's right, and then even have community partners here, so while they're eating, you know, it could be a thing, if everybody more hands in, I'll just keep in contact with them.
And that's the benefit, sir, of Greg's Groceries, and that's what we have at West Columbia Police Department through Serve and Connect. It's a
That's
box
right.
of food resources that feeds a family of 4 for a week.
Yeah.
And that's how we get out, and that's how we make those contacts, and that's how we say, hey, here's food, what else do you need? And that's how we start those conversations, so you're exactly right.
Yeah, the other side of this too is getting them together is, then they could be, if you get a pharmacy like, Medicine Mart, Dr. Conley, Lynn Conley, I've known him for years. Give vaccines, you know, update them. What do you need? COVID, et cetera.
We work with Mercy out of Columbia that does
Right.
Outreach for medical resources to that
Yeah.
population, so I've contacted
Because
them
tuberculosis
numerous
is a
times.
big thing in the
Absolutely.
populations.
So it's there.
Untreated wounds, MRSA, VRE, et cetera.
Well, once again, I want to thank the West Columbia Police Department for coming out, for being here. Thank you for coming and saving Mayor Jim, thank you for coming and being here tonight. But, anything we can do to help you, we have these resources, and you know, I'm sure they're working hard as they can, so. Anything else anybody has to say?
Thank you for hosting.
No, you're welcome.
Thank y'all.
Thank you tonight, guys.
Thank you, Councilman Gregg. Appreciate it.
Thank you.